wrestling has more than one royal family. Acknowledge me.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to Wrestling Crossroads. As always, I'm one half your dynamic duo, Twisted. Actually doing this entirely solo for the second time in Wrestling Crossroads history. We have a solo podcast. So I'm going to do my best to get through it. I'm a little nervous not doing this without Brother Pyro. And unfortunately, Hex was unable to make it back to do our post show. So we're going to jump right into it. We are recapping Backlash from Lyon, France. Starting off, and I just want to point this out, I did not call this card very well in any which way. Normally, I can distinguish how a WWE card is going to go based on how the build-up is to it and just kind of the distinguishedness of the titles that are on the line. Normally, about 90% of the time I am correct, but unfortunately in this circumstance, I was wrong. Starting us off, we have Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga versus Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. Now, before the bell even started, all four men began beating the hell out of each other once Solo and Tama entered the ring. After a while of just kind of going at it, and not necessarily the ref trying to get anybody in the ring, but getting more refs down, getting security, Nick Aldis came out, and Flash actually called this. He said that the SmackDown general manager is going to come out. He's going to make this either a no disqualification or a street fight or both. And Nick Aldis came out and made it a street fight. So anything goes, everything went. You had all four men leading out to the crowd for a large portion of this match before finally bringing it around the ring. Many times they tried to put each other through an announce table to all fail at actually breaking the announce table. It wouldn't get broken until way later in the night. As we go through, we do see that toys, meaning, as Pyro would say it, toys, but kendo sticks are being brought out, tables are being brought out, we have trash cans being brought out. Everything was being used aside from the kitchen sink. We finally get, I believe it was Tama Tonga and Kevin Owens in the ring, and Kevin puts Tama Tonga through 4 different chairs that he had them laid out. Went for the pin and got a 1-2 before the ref was pulled out by newest Bloodline member making his WWE debut, Tonga Loa. Sorry, I said that wrong on the first try, but I wasn't reading my paper. Tama Tonga's brother has now joined WWE and evidently joining the Bloodline, thus making them stronger. After Solo had taken over and gotten his footing, ultimately picking up the win was Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga. Now, Pyro and I went back and forth messaging during this, after this match for a little bit, saying what we thought was going to come out of this. And we both kind of agree in more of a similar situation, but he did admit, and I am putting this out there, that I had a better brainchild than he did when it came to this. I had said, we build this up to SummerSlam. We have a 6-man tag team match with the newly reunited Usos, once that does happen, and Roman Reigns, versus what was new of the Bloodline. We have Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa. And then The Rock comes out to essentially screw them with Jacob Fatu. Roman says, hey, I'm the tribal chief, what's going on? And Rock pretty much turns and says, I don't think so, I'm now doing this. We go all the way to Survivor Series, we drag this on as long as we can. Roman is told to find an equalizer against The Rock and his new bloodline. They find the equalizer, but then the other Bloodline 2.0 takes out the equalizer beforehand, giving Roman and the Usos a underman advantage going into this. And then essentially we set up for Rock Roman at WrestleMania 41. Now, if you guys agree with me, let me know. I will be posting this alongside the comments on the Instagram. So going into the next match, we have Bayley versus Naomi versus Tiffany Stratton, triple threat match for the WWE Women's Championship. Now, when it comes to this match, Tiffany Stratton really dominated a majority of it. She came, she showed up, she showed out, and she showed why she got called up before any of the other people making it through the draft. Bayley, was in there. She tried to hold on to her championship as much as she could. Naomi, kind of a factor that you really didn't see much of. You knew she was there, but she was kind of hidden in the spotlight of everything, I would say. Going throughout this match, like I said, Tiffany dominated, ultimately picking up the win, and we did discuss this on the pre-show. Who took the L was Naomi, retaining her championship, Bayley, with a showing of respect afterwards by Naomi. Next match up, we have Damien Priest versus Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship. This was a very beautifully equally sided match. It did start out with Jey Uso doing his yeet chants and getting the crowd really on his side. I do want to point out, I love the French crowd. There was not a big moment of silence like you see from the American crowds, from any other crowds, anytime we've ever gone overseas. These fans would not stop at all. I absolutely love how they were into everything. And there was a moment between Jey Uso and Damien Priest where they were hitting each other back and forth, and the crowd was actually saying yeet as Jey was hitting Damien, and no yeet as Damien was hitting Jey. So you could really tell who the crowd favored in this, and it's not a surprise that it was Jey Uso to be the favorite. We then saw JD McDonough actually getting involved after Priest has been telling the other men in the Judgment Day that he does not want any interference in his matches. They still continue to try to interfere. JD comes down and tries to make a save, ultimately being caught by Damien and told, use your big head, and tries to send him to the back. However, Jey, not taking too kindly to JD being out there, takes him out for the moment. A bit later, we get through the match, and Finn Balor actually makes an appearance coming out of the crowd to also try to help and get Jey off his game. It didn't really work there, as Jey did take him out. Going a little bit more into the match, JD got involved again after being out for quite some time, and actually put Damien's foot on the rope after a couple super kicks and a spear from Jey Uso. So, could it have been a 1-2-3? I believe so, had he not put his foot on the rope. Ultimately, at the end of that, Jey Uso did take out JD McDonough, and again Finn Balor after that. Match goes to end with a Avalanche South of Heaven chokeslam, making Damien Priest to retain his championship. Now, after the match, you got to see JD and Finn Balor step into the ring while Damien had his back turned to Jey with his celebration, and then they began attacking Jey. Damien wanted absolutely no part of it and had said numerous times, we're done, till he pulled both boys off of him and actually got in Finn Balor's face and said, when I say we're done, we are done. So I'm very curious to know what's going to happen next when it comes to the Judgment Day. I really wish Brother Pyro was here so we could go back and forth with each other on what we think's going to happen. But I think, Jey Uso has a cause to say, I was fighting 3-on-1, I want another title shot, and I really hope he kind of picks up the win in that one. That's me personally. Next match, which I thought was actually going to open the show, was Kabuki Warriors versus Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill for the Women's Tag Team Championship. Now, for a good portion in this match, the Kabuki Warriors actually did dominate over Bianca Belair. There wasn't a lot of use of Jade Cargill for very big parts of the match, at least in the beginning. And once it got to about the midway point and they made that hot tag, it wasn't an immediate, hey, it's Jade Cargill in the ring, let's make it a victory. No, Jade had to fight her way in this match. And it was really nice because this is pretty much one of the longest matches we've seen Jade Cargill in. I'm very happy that we got to see a lot more of her work, because watching her previously in AEW with Brother Pyro, I can say that she is a pretty decent competitor in the ring. And I'm glad that WWE finally took the time to showcase that, this being her literal third pay-per-view match. And I believe they had said this is like her third or fourth match overall in WWE, if not just her entire third, with all three of them being pay-per-view matches. So I'm very excited that they gave her time to really show that she can do this and she can take time to, work on herself, that she has taken the time in the Performance Center to work on herself. Closing moments of the match, there was a bit of a mix-up between the Kabuki Warriors on who was actually legal, and the ref did a very good job at pointing out when one wasn't legal and they were going for the pin. So congratulations to the ref on that. You did a great job there. However, picking up the win, your new women's tag team champions, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. I'm very excited to see where this goes. I don't necessarily think I have a next challenger for them. I would really like to see a match with them and the Kabuki Warriors again, but it did really look like Asuka was having a injury of sorts during this match. Before they got to the main event, they did speak about the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments that will be going on before we have the finale in Saudi Arabia. I did look it up, and I wanted to let you guys know that coming up on Monday Night Raw, these will be the matches that we will be seeing in our first round. They didn't release anything for SmackDown. Maybe they will on Raw, but again, this is just for the Raw brand. Starting off, we have Lyra Valkyria taking on Asuka, Shayna Baszler taking on Zelina Vega, who is a former Queen of the Ring, Zoe Stark taking on Ivy Nile. I'm really excited to see that match of the Brawling Girls, more or less, and Io Sky taking on Natalya. Now when we go to the men's side of everything, for the King of the Ring, we have Gunther versus Sheamus, which we know is going to be a banger match. We have Ricochet taking on Ilya Dragunov, who was newly called up in the draft. We have Kofi Kingston taking on Rey Mysterio, and we have Drew McIntyre taking on Finn Balor. Now, I had said it to Flash, I had said it to Pyro, and I had said it to Hex. No matter how we get there, I want this to end semi-finalists, Ilya Dragunov versus Finn Balor. I don't care who goes over, but I want those two in the semi-finals, at least for Raw. So I will take that. Going into our main event now, we have AJ Styles challenging for the WWE Championship against Cody Rhodes. This match was pretty much a slow pace in the beginning. AJ did take a lot of time exploiting the injury that Cody Rhodes possibly had, the shoulder from his match with Carmelo Hayes this past week. Once it started to pick up, you really got to see these men dig very deep into their arsenal, and a lot of mind games were coming, especially from Styles, who wore a copy, pretty much, of what he had worn when he faced Cody's dad, Dusty Rhodes, all those years back at TNA. They did point something out that I want to establish before I kind of get more back into the match. Samantha, I believe her name is, it was the first female ref to call a WWE Championship match in the main event. And if you had noticed while watching, Corey Graves had mentioned it, that whenever the word phenomenal is mentioned, the crowd would go into a song. So most of the time, whenever AJ had the upper hand, you would hear the crowd sing this song. Unfortunately, I'm not sure what the song was, but, can't speak another language that I barely know myself, unfortunately. So going through the match, these men, like I said, they picked out everything from their arsenals. You had Cody kicking out of a 450 splash. You had Styles kicking out of Cody cutters, crossroads, you name it. They were both kicking out of everything to show why this championship meant so much to them. It had been 9 years since AJ Styles had held a title. Or not 9 years, I believe they said 9 or 6. Cannot always remember. 9 or 6 years since AJ Styles has last held a title. You have Cody Rhodes, who is the newly crowned WWE champion. This is something that he's been fighting for forever, it seems like. The last 2 years, it took him so long to finish his story, and now we're finally here. So these men had a lot on the line. Eventually, it does spew out to the outside, and we finally get a break of the announce table. Rolls back into the ring, and finally, at the end of everything, off of the top rope, Cody hits a Cody cutter and retains his championship. So congratulations to him on retaining his championship. Thank you, Lyon, France, for the best crowd a wrestling fan has had in years. They sang all of Randy Orton's theme song, all of Cody Rhodes' theme song, and I want to point out that they normally cut it off a little early to the end, and the crowd kept going. It's amazing as a wrestling fan to see those types of things, and I said it to Pyro, I would really love to see a WrestleMania in France with how hyped up this crowd was. I don't think I've ever heard a crowd give so much love, even if they hated somebody, into a match more than Lyon, France has. And Brother Pyro had said, we have a lot of other overseas pay-per-views that are coming up. We have the Bash in Berlin. We're also going to Scotland. Let's see how loud they can get, and we'll compare it to Lyon, France. Because when I'm telling you, as a wrestling fan, if you did not get goosebumps throughout the entire time of this pay-per-view, granted 5 matches, whatever, then I don't know where your love for wrestling lies. And I may sound like Brother Pyro saying that, but honest to God, that was a thing of beauty, just hearing the crowd be so in love with all these wrestlers. So that is the end. That is Backlash. Hopefully this is the last time I have to do a solo run on this, but for Brother Pyro, if you guys haven't watched his TikTok, our thoughts are with you. We love you, and we cannot wait for you to come back home to the Wrestling Crossroads family. Until then, we will either have Hex or Desario as your stand-ins, but we know that they can never ever fill your shoes. We love you, and good night.